Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Clock Talk with Dr. Greg Brennan. Today, we're going to talk about GLP-1, otherwise known as Ozempic,
Can be.
and a bunch of other names.
Can be.
So how are you today?
Fantastic. Let's
get it going.
Yeah, it's what people may have heard the phrase called peptides. And peptides, which is interesting, there's a bunch of peptides that have been shown to be extremely beneficial. The government has actually put a hold on some of them. Then there's some peptides that make you lose weight, but have tremendous side effects. They're getting approved every 2 days. I just want to understand how this works. So GLP is glucagon-like peptide -1. In the pancreas, you have these thing called the cells of Langerhans. There's the beta cells, and what happens is you have a hormone called insulin, which another peptide that comes out of that cell, and what that does is when your body gets exposed to glucose, insulin goes up. Then your body's hepatocytes, muscle, the big ones, suck the glucose in. So basically what it does is it tries to get glucose out of your bloodstream. Glucagon stimulates the same cells to actually inhibit gluconeogenesis, which is the formation of sugar from the liver, and to put more sugar in the bloodstream. Okay, that's its function, okay? So glucagon-like protein, being an agonist here, does a couple things. It actually makes the insulin cells make more insulin. So therefore, the insulin will lower sugar. It actually inhibits glucagon secretion, which will then stop the production of glucose, called gluconeogenesis. It slows the stomach down, so gastric emptying.
Yes, let's talk about that for a second.
Well, we finish up and we'll go over all these each individually. And then it also works in the brain's central nervous system of the satiety area that actually controls appetite. That's what it does normally with the normal structure. But as you saw before from many of our talks, the molecule matters, being identical to the body. So an agonist means it is like the structure, and an antagonist blocks it, which is interesting. In OBGYN, I used to, for a disease called endometriosis, we'd actually put women in menopause. They're a thing called gonadotropins. We gave gonadotropin agonists, but you want to block them. I do. But if you put them on for 2 weeks, they're on for 2 weeks. They shut everything off. It's not a clean on or off. It's not whatever we do. Same thing here. So that's the bottom line. And we'll go over that. Can we go to the next picture?
Let's go to the picture, because let's talk about
how this works.
Walk us through this thing, but I'm kind of just reading between the lines here. Yep. I'm thinking that this, I guess you could call peptide, if you want to call it that, basically is telling the body that you're not hungry.
Bingo.
And that's how you're losing your weight.
Yes, that's part. It also makes the stomach not work as fast, so don't absorb the calories. It also increases insulin production, and it also decreases gluconeogenesis. Yes, all those together. So that makes your body think it's not hungry, so you don't absorb. But there are risk factors to all that. We'll go over that.
Yeah, let's go.
We'll go over that in a minute. But it's just interesting to me that there are ways to do that safer. Peter Attia, great website, great podcast. He started using semaglutide in his study, but when the FDA approved semaglutide to get through, they approved it without doing a DEXA scan. A DEXA scan is an X-ray scan, basically, that can measure your fat, muscle, bone, the whole bit. And he started using it, but what he did was he started doing DEXA scans before and after treatment. This is interesting. When you lose weight naturally, decrease caloric intake, decrease carbohydrates, increase fat, increase protein, walking, things like that, every pound you lose, roughly 3/4 of it is fat and 1/4 is muscle. That's a healthy way to lose it. And even those men and women who are losing weight, when they're on testosterone, they won't even lose the muscle, but that's how they do naturally. The semaglutide in his study, 2/3 are losing muscle. 2/3 of it is muscle, 1/3 is fat. So you're actually getting skinnier, but you're getting fatter. See, that's why it's important, besides the side effects, and we'll go over all that. So when you look at this graph here, it's called GLP-1 analogs. That's another name, the resistance part of this, but this is how it works. That you talk about. You orally intake carbohydrates. This is what it does. It goes to your stomach. Your brain controls that feeling, goes to your small intestines. Goes that picture over. There's the liver. There's the alpha and beta cells, like we talked about. Alpha does the glucagon. Beta does the insulin. That gets balanced out through the liver. So the whole idea is to control this. Control plasma glucose, because glucose is energy. Glucose is energy, and the goal is that's caloric. That's caloric restriction when you stop the glucose. So the whole idea of this is the brain and the gut has a lot of nerves too in there. Is that you control your appetite. You get full, and this is very interesting. Forget even GLP-1s. When you eat fat, you get satisfied. When you eat protein, you get satisfied. When you eat a carbohydrate, we're born with these things called morphine receptor sites in the brain that makes you even hungrier. You're not satisfied. So that's the issue too, Jim, is our foods have become so processed and so densely sugared. It's like a heroin addict. Are they ever satisfied? Yeah, for the 4 hours. That's all it's for. It's the same exact mechanism. And then in a lot of our food, they put additives in it to make you addicted to that food, that taste, to salt, to sugar. As you know, a lot of our foods are not allowed in Europe or Japan because of those addictive structures.
Okay, so you talk a lot about side effects.
Yes.
And obviously up there, we're looking at pancreatitis and we're looking at C-cell tumors.
Yes.
And we're probably looking at a bunch of other stuff as
Yes.
well. I mean, I did read the description and there is a significant warning label on this.
This is in Ozempic's own FDA 144-page handout, which we read and studied before this process. They're showing you the risk factors.
Which means there's probably more.
So
this, by the way, was originally approved as a diabetes 2 drug, correct?
Right. GLP-1 or diabetes. The byproduct was I lost weight on it. So now they're selling it as lost weight. And the problem is okay, let's go over a couple of things. Gastroparesis. So the number one risk factor is nausea and vomiting. Okay. You don't eat. Your brain thinks you're full. Then when you do eat, you feel nauseous, you're sick, you're eating less. But there's actually a case, love Sean Baker's website, the author of a Carnivore Diet. He goes on his Instagram. He showed us a paper of a man dying of gastroparesis, literally paralysis of the stomach. So this is not like easy stuff. Like take a pill, lose weight. The problem is because 80% of it is that way. It seems simple. I don't know if it's 80, 90%, but there are side effects. T-cell medullary cancer of the thyroid, improve it. Pancreatitis is probably the most common bad one, which is an inflammation of the enzymes in the pancreas. Those are bad things. That's why it's important to understand that, again, when you start doing these molecules, there's a cascade effect when there are other ways to lose weight. And the thing about it is so Jason Fung wrote the book Obesity Code and Diabetes Code, brilliant nephrologist. And he had a study, I forgot, it was about 2,000 people studied type 2, not type 1, type 2 diabetics. He fed them nothing for 6 weeks. Water, electrolytes, things like that, but no food. At the end of 6 weeks, he had no more diabetics. Diabetes type 2 is a lifestyle disease. I believe you look back at the data from 1977, the food pyramid, we ate meat and eggs forever. In 77, they changed the pyramid to 9 to 12 grains a day. Our grains are sprayed with folic acid, Roundup. It's not one thing, Jim. It's all additive. If you eat flour, if you eat grains in Europe, there's no Roundup. There's no folic acid sprayed on it. You don't have the same thyroid effects. You have the same gut effects. It all adds up. But the bottom line is you lose weight when you restrict carbohydrates. Now, there's a place for carbohydrates that you need. Mitochondria loves carbohydrates, but in proper proportions. If you eat 25 to 50 grams a day, that's great. The average American is 400. And we eat like sumo wrestlers. You eat another thing, the timing of eating. Jason Fung goes that beautifully. 3 meals a day, 3 snacks a day. If you follow the American Diabetes Association recommendation how to eat, it causes diabetes. They recommend orange juice and oatmeal in the morning with toast. It's like 80 grams of carbs.
Yeah. Oh, sugar too.
Yeah. So the carbs are the sugar. So what happens is, Jim, yes, I understand the people. I was a diabetes OB-GYN. I did a lot of OBs as an OB. I understand people trying, they're doing things. When you follow these recommendations that increase your carbohydrate load, your body can't beat it. So here's a pill. Here's this. It's sad. Let's try things prior to the pill first. Berberine.